Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Superstars of Wrestling review series, specifically for September the 12th, 1992, and certainly a pretty big match here, or notable match anyway, as we see the hype of the recrowning of Ric Flair as the world champion. As part of an update segment, they do not show the whole match. The whole match does exist on tape someplace. There's a story behind the match. We'll get to that in a second, though. Razor Ramon against Gary Jackson opens the program. Apropos that they open with Razor because he does figure into the finish of the world title change. And Razor Ramon strapped with a rocket, in the company for probably about 2 months. Maybe in the company for probably about 3.5 months. Active on the roster for, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks. But they did about 6 weeks of vignettes, and immediately Ramon does an awkward thing with Jackson here. Kind of picks him up like he's going to powerbomb or pile drive him, and instead just runs him gut first into the turnbuckle. We then see Razor with a choke slam, and Razor is in character, in mannerism, the entire match. I wish more guys would learn this. If you want to perfect a character, watch Razor's mannerisms because they fit with his character. Obviously, you can't do the same things he did, but having a way you walk, having a way you look facially, having a way you manage yourself completely at every moment is so important when you have a character. Inverted back suplex and the Razor's Edge finish things off. Anyway, we go to Mean Gene Okerlund with update. He's standing outside a ring, Hershey, Pennsylvania. Basically, they show a bit where earlier in the night at a TV taping, but they don't tell us this. Randy Savage and he are challenged or face to face in an interview segment. Razor basically says the Macho Man's lost his championship, lost his machismo, he needs machismo lessons, then throws his toothpick right in the face of Ramon, or of Savage. Ramon throws his toothpicks in Savage's face, and ultimately that leads to issues between the two of them. They hype the fact that the leg of Randy Savage was injured in the previous match with the Warrior at SummerSlam by a chair shot to the knee by Ric Flair. Flair then manages to, work the leg for the majority of the match and then hooks the figure four. Savage passes out and loses the championship. Then Razor comes, works over the leg post match. We see that basically adding insult to injury. The amazing part of this match, if you follow online lore, is that Flair did not work the leg enough for Vince McMahon's liking. They sent Flair and Savage back out during the same TV taping to redo the match, and that is just not a good look for anybody involved. Doug Summers and Joe Turner versus the Natural Disasters. Of course, Doug Summers, former AWA standout guy, here finishing up his career doing enhancement talent work for the WWF. Money is money. Earthquake with a drop kick, of course. Earthquake and Typhoon, your tag team champions. Still a big deal. Still, ultimately, guys who don't want to waste any energy. Earthquake with a series of body slams on his adversaries, tries to get the action going in his way, and then you see the big man, which is just bizarre to me, but with a snapmare, among other really basic moves. Earthquake uses the Earthquake splash, tags off to Typhoon. Typhoon manages to hit the big body splash, and that is the end of that contest. Money Incorporated talks about wanting the tag team championships back from the Natural Disasters. Talks about, and this is an event center segment, talks about wanting to be at their best. Tito Santana talks about wanting to take on everybody from Bret Hart to Skinner to Papa Shango and everybody else in between. really tries to push the fact that he's been around the WWF for a long while. Again, not sure if it, how far it got, but the rumor is that he was offered the WWF champion. They were about to go through the steroid trial. They were about to going through the sex scandal that plagued 1992. So Santana was on that short list of baby faces to be given the push that eventually went to Bret Hart. And so Papa Shango against Justin Taylor. Shango wheels him out of the corner, punch kick, very basic offense. Didn't do much with the voodoo type stuff in this particular match. Doesn't mean they weren't playing with it. They were, however, setting up, and they do set up over the next several weeks, the idea that Papa Shango's curse was the reason that Bret Hart lost the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam. They go into a Shango and Bret Hart feud, which is actually blown off a couple of months later with, I believe, a Saturday night's main event match between Hart and Shango on either Saturday night's main event or Superstars. Once Hart's won the World Championship, headbutts and the like on Taylor, and again, the shoulder breaker wins it for Shango. Then we move to the event center. Crush showing more of the Hawaiian personality trait, doing the aloha, talking about the fact that his family and friends are encouraging him to be more himself. Beverly Brothers cut a rather nondescript promo about still being one of the top tag teams in the area. Didn't really acknowledge the loss at SummerSlam too terribly much. I don't know that on the way out would be the right term, because they're still around for the Steiner's run in early 1993, but they're definitely falling down the cards here. Big Boss Man and Mike Sharp. Boss Man still in the midst of his feud with Nails that's blown off in November, so they are still hyping that pretty heavily on commentary and everywhere they can. Boss Man manages to, get something out of Sharp in terms of a reasonable squash match. Boss Man at this time, I would think he's in 92, 93, 94, the best shape of his career. I actually wish he'd been in in this shape when he first came in, 87, 88-ish, but obviously needed to be bigger for the Hogan run. But he moves better here, and it does make a difference. Attempted kick and back leg trip by the Boss Man. Boss Man takes his adversary down with a kick and slides to the outside. Nails Sharp right in the jaw with a shot, and, go back into the ring, hits a big boot, and then Sharp again bails to the outside. Sharp doing a lot of stalling in the match. I think that's done by design a little bit. Does the outside in spot, pulling the rope, and then Boss Man kind of gives Sharp a little bit. Sharp gets a few chokes and punches in. Nothing major, but enough to make Sharp look at least semi-competitive. Boss Man slam, 1, 2, 3, it's over. Not a big surprise there, but a little bit more of a competitive match than normal. Then we go to Ric Flair Championship Celebration. They pop champagne for Flair. Flair says this has always been his destiny to be a two-time champion. Says this is Plan B. Pours the champagne over his head rather than drink it. Not sure that's the best idea. Basically celebrate with Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon alongside Flair gives Razor a certain rub, new in the company and standing beside the world champion. Really a good deal there. Then we go back to the ring. Greg Brown and Red Tyler versus the Nasty Boys. Nasty Boys still under the tutelage of Jimmy Hart. Nasties, go pretty aggressively through the next little while. Fans obviously booing them quite a bit. Knobs takes, I wouldn't say all of the match, but the majority of it. Red Tyler, still a guy I'd like to know what he did in the Independents, if anything, because he had a bit of a look to him. Sags comes in, tags into the other enhancement talent, and, really basic stuff. punches, kicks, and the like, and then we see the tag, the power slam, and the top rope elbow drop by Jerry Sags. Obviously, that's where that goes. Skinner talks about being in the event center. Talks about being his chewing tobacco being banned by Jack Tunney. Talks about this being unfair. He knows how to fight. He'll fight anybody. He has a problem with Tunney, etc. and so forth. Legion of Doom cuts a rather nondescript promo. They don't really target anybody. Just again, still talking about, you know, the damage of everything there. And then we go to The Undertaker versus Pat Rose. Not Pete Rose, but Pat Rose. They're talking about several splashes by Kamala during the SummerSlam match, but The Undertaker couldn't be put down. They do end up blowing that off with the first, at this point, called coffin match on television. I had actually seen a coffin match with The Undertaker and Sid Justice in 91. I remember it being a matinee show, so not the first one by far. I think the first one actually is in Memphis somewhere in the 80s. Not 100% sure on that, but I know WWF wasn't the first one to do it, obviously, but obviously that's what we know The Undertaker for, fits the character very well, etc. and so forth. Anyway, we see Undertaker go after Rose quite a bit, and several shots. See, punches, kicks, and such by The Undertaker. Does the rope walk, does the tombstone, 1, 2, 3, Undertaker victorious, and that will close us for today. We'll be back with more right after this.